life. Like, I had to go and have surgery because I had internal injuries really, really bad. And that took 3, 4, 5 surgery. I think it was four surgeries to get my, female organs back in the right place. And they told me that I'd never have children, and I actually had four. So that was not true. Um, so yeah, so then what happened next was there was a male SA ring in Sydney, in the North Shore, North Sydney area, and it was an old man and his friends, and they were like judges, doctors, and stuff, and they were drugging teenage boys and essaying them while they were under the influence. They were giving them alcohol that was laced with drugs, and it was a big case. And actually, this time they did go to jail. So here's me living my life. By then, I had one child, and I'm trying to live a normal life. And I get dragged back into another case where they found more videotapes of me at that man's house.
Oh my
Um,
God.
and the weird thing about it was he only abused boys. So him and his friends only abused teenage boys. They didn't touch girls at all. There was no girls ever. So I don't know what he was doing with those videotapes or why they were there, but I was dragged back into it again as I started to get a normal life. Um, I begged them. I was like, I just can't go through another trial. It'll kill me. I can't do it. I just said to them, you can't do this to me, not now. And I'm thinking that my child's in danger now, like I've got a child and I'm like, I can't do this. Don't make me do it. And they ended up not making me do it, but I had to go sit through those tapes again. Um, just when I thought that it was over and it was done, and I had to go sit there again and see it. And this time I've got my own child, who was a boy who I begged. When I was pregnant, I said, please don't let me have boys in case they find me and take them. Like I was like, don't let me have boys. And sorry, I ended
Okay.
up having three boys and one girl. So yeah, I just tried to have a normal life, but my life has never been normal. I had one struggle after another. It never got better. The you know the memory of that it'll never go away from me. I struggle every day, every single day when I wake up. The first thing I think of is everything. But it just goes through me like I can't explain it. But every day when I wake up, I just get up and it goes through me like you got a movie on fast forward, and it goes through my head like that every single day and every night before I go to sleep. It's the last thing I think of. And I try not to. I try really hard not to. And I don't think there's been a day that I can not think of something that happened back then. I mean, I seen a girl. This is another thing I forgot to talk about. When I was in the houses, I saw this one girl and I had seen her on TV. And I said to she still hasn't been found to this day. And she was a little girl that went missing from Bondi Beach area. Um, she was there. She was in those rings with me. I seen her and I told her, you're on TV, because I got to see bits and pieces of TV. Not that I was allowed to, but I did get to see her on TV. And I told her, I said, I saw you on TV. The police are looking for you. And she told me they won't find me because my mum did it. My mum sold me. And she was so calm, not like the others. She wasn't screaming and distressed. And she was so calm. And I'll never forget that about her, how she was so calm. And she still hasn't been found. A man went to jail. He said he killed her. He never said where she was, and he's out of jail right now.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and that little girl has never been found. But the honest to God truth is, either he's one of the predators. I don't know where to figure him out, because she told me that her mum had sold her, that it had happened many, many times before she ended up there. So I don't know where to put him. And when I seen him on TV go to jail and stuff, I remember ringing the police and saying, "This isn't true. This is not right. I don't know him." And she told me her mum did it, and they let him out a few years ago. He still has never said if where her body is, and the reason why he hasn't is because he didn't kill her. Somebody else did.
And he took the rap for
Um,
them.
he said that he did it, but he didn't, because I know for a fact he didn't. I know that her mum was owned an art gallery or something like that, and those art type people, not all of them. I'm not saying every art person because I draw and stuff myself, but a lot of the high roller art galleries and stuff, they're connected to trafficking. Um, it's a lot of money that goes into it, like millions and billions of dollars, and that's why it's still happening, because police are bought. There's judges that abuse these that are the clientele. The clientele of trafficking rings aren't like the next door neighbor. These are people that are judges, doctors, lawyers, professional people, because they are paying big money to get what they want or what they fantasize about. I was in mansions. I'm talking about, I know where a few of them are. I've gone down there just to look. And once I was going to burn one of them down, I was so angry. And it was the one that used to hurt me a lot. He was the one with all the equipment and stuff. And I caught a taxi down there. And that this is before Uber. So it was a taxi. I went down there and I walked to the waterfront. I looked through because when they live on the water, they often don't have curtains closed through the night until they go to bed, and then they close everything. So I could look in and see him as an old man with grandchildren running around. And I was going to burn that house down. That was in my head. I had in my bag. I was going to burn the house down. But when I looked in there, I saw what probably was his daughter and grandchildren or great grandchildren. I have no clue, because he's really, really old now. And I had to drag myself away from going to jail forever from killing them, because I always said that when I got older, I'm going to go get them. And you just get older and you realize that you can't really do that. And that's really disappointing. Like, you think now I'm an adult, so now I can go after them, and I can't. And that's horrible. Like, I have to live with that every day, knowing that there's more children like me right now today. There's more of us now today. And I'm just sitting here in my home while all these children are being abused. And I have to live with that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I have to live with the knowledge that that's still happening. And there's nothing I can do about it. That's probably the hardest thing to live with out of all of this, is knowing that there's more and it's still happening. Babies are still being killed, and there's nothing I can do about it.
You are doing something about it. You're sharing your story for more people to be aware and be
I
watchful. And
know, but it's
you did
so
go to
hard.
jail. You did help them. You
Yeah,
didn't
but
you didn't
you
do
know,
this, Shawnee.
it,
This isn't your fault.
I
This is not
know,
your fault.
but it's living with that. It's a struggle. It's an everyday struggle, knowing that there's more. And I just hope some of them get saved. And I don't know, or they die fast. I don't even know what to want for them. Quick death or let them be saved. I don't even know, because I'm stuck every day sitting here knowing that there's more girls that are like me, and there's nothing I can do about it. I can't save them. And living with that, I've tried to unalive myself several times, and that's why my doctor has to call me to give me my medicine, because she doesn't trust me to not do that again. The last attempt was 5 years ago, and that's why they watch me really carefully. Um, the tendencies to not be here are very strong, um, because I feel like I have to wake up knowing that there's others, and that gets really tough. That gets really, really tough. And I just want it to go away and it won't, and it just never will. And all the medicine in the world isn't going to help that. Um, I don't know. It's something that I struggle every day with, and
Well, it was a traumatic experience you went through, Yanni. I mean, that's not something that you get over easy. You just have
I
to
don't know.
remember that it's not your fault. You didn't do this. You were a baby. You tried to help as much as you could
Yeah,
then, and you went to court. You
yeah.
testified against the monsters. You had to endure it again. You're telling your story. Girl, you're a warrior. Do you understand that you are doing something? You're
And
amazing.
but I don't feel like that. People say that to me, and I, I don't feel like that. I just feel like, why did I survive and they died? That's often the things that I think of, and it's so hard for my family and my husband to see me like this all the time. And he knows, he'll see me from across the room and he'll just know that something's on my mind that shouldn't be. And he'll just recognize that now and he'll come over and just say, come on, you're stronger than this, you can do it. But there's days where I think I can't do it, I can't do it. I can't go for another day, I can't do it. And somehow that day goes by and I get through it. But I don't know. I don't know
Wait,
where it's gonna go from here. I don't.
may I make a suggestion? Just a
Yeah,
little one. Keep telling your story everywhere you can. Tell
yeah.
your story. Make people
So
more aware so that maybe eventually we can end this
hopefully.
horrific things happening to children. You had that ring broke up. They didn't bust one house, they busted seven. And
Yeah, eight.
unfortunately, not
Yeah,
every
eight altogether. So
eight all together, right?
I
And
begged the police. I was like, "Can I go while you go to the houses so the kids see me?" And because I always promise them I'm coming back for you. I used to tell them that all the time. I used to say, if I get away, I promise I'm coming back. And I did. And I wanted to be there, but it was too dangerous. And now I understand that. But as a 14-year-old, you don't understand that. I was like, why can't I go? They know me. They trust me. Let me be there. And they were like, we can't. And I get that now. But I wanted
those
to be there. I
those
wanted to
children were
be there.
rescued, correct? Those children were rescued.
Yes. And they
They
were,
were taken out.
yeah, they were. And he kept me up to date. They all got their identities and they all got their forever homes, and the police keep watch on them. And now they're probably, they're all grown up now. A lot of, they'd be the same age as me. So they're in their 40s, or, there was a few younger ones. So there's probably younger than that. But yeah, that was, I don't know how many they got out of there, but I know that they were all successfully given identifications, and I
And
think
forever homes.
blood work was done, and they tried to help them. And from the police officer that I'm still close with, that's getting really old and sick, and he has cancer right now, so I'm going through that with him. And he told me that when he rescued them and he had them all together, he told them that I was the one that got away and saved them. He said I made sure they knew that, but I wasn't allowed to make contact with them. And I wanted to, in a way. I wanted to find them, and,
Love you
I
too.
just,
Thank you.
but maybe they just don't want to think about it. Maybe they have a different mindset than me. I don't know. I don't know, where they are. All I know is that they were all given identities and they lived their life and they were all safe after that.
Yanni, you asked why you lived. That is why you lived. You lived to save those babies. You did
Yeah,
what you
yeah,
said you were going to do. They are
yeah.
safe because of you.
I know, but there's others.
I mean, you're not responsible. I mean, I know this sounds mean, but you're not responsible for the world, darling. You're
I
not.
know, I know, and I try to tell myself that, but it just doesn't get easier. I don't
Well,
think I'll ever not think that. Like, I'll never. not think that. I think every day I'm going to think that for the rest of my life. So,
But because of you, there are people in the chat tonight who have opened their eyes that were naive to before to the
yeah,
situation. They've opened their eyes to what you're saying and that this stuff really happens.
yeah, it does
Maybe
happen.
this is your mission, Yanni. Maybe this is your purpose to bring
Maybe
awareness.
it just like I didn't get strong early. I didn't start talking about this till now. I tried about 10 years ago, and it ended up in me trying to not be here, and so I pushed it aside again, and then I came to the true crime community because I started to see the missing children, and I was like, I could identify with some of them, and I especially Summer. Like Summer was the one that really got to me because I have my theory about what happened to her, and I think she was also sold several times before she went missing. I think she was injured that day, and that's why they had the long clothes on her because that was something that they used to do to hide bruises. They'd put long clothes on you so you wouldn't see all the marks and bruises. And I just feel like she got a bad handoff and she got injured, and those pictures of her in that car are of her almost gone. And the reason for the long clothes is because she had injuries. That's what I've always believed. Um, hope I'm wrong. I always hope I'm wrong because she's just a baby, and I was her, and I see me in her. I see me in a lot of the children that go missing, and I think it started with Casey Anthony. That case. I always thought that little girl was trafficked, and
Little Kaylee.
yeah, I do. I do. I doesn't add up, and she knew her family were in contact with elite people. So I just feel like there's it's some cases you're like, no, that was kidnapping, murder, whatever, child abuse by the parents. But there's certain little ones that come along where I go, oh my God, that girl was trafficked. I can just see it. I just can see the difference. She was the first one that made me go, oh, she's me. I'm her, Casey. What's her name? Kaylee. Is it Kaylee?
Kaylee. Kaylee, yes.
Kaylee was the first one that I identified with, and then Summer came along and blew me out the water, and I was like, she's me. I'm her. Um, and like I said, it's not all of the cases. It's just certain ones that I just feel a connection to certain cases, and others I just feel like it's straight murder and abuse. Um, I hate that I see that in some of the cases, but I just can't help it, and I do. Um, I just wish there was more I could do. I just wish I could do so much more. It's
Well, I
just
mean,
that's something that I have to live with. It's hard.
you, you are doing it. You're making people aware of your story. If
Yeah,
one person walks away from this and notices a sign of something that's wrong, from what you have told people, and they walk away and they go, hey, you know what? Look at that child right there. Something's wrong. Let's get
and
that child some help.
look out for children that have long clothes on when it's boiling hot outside. Those are the things that you need to start taking notice of because there's a reason why they do that. They're hiding what's really going on underneath them clothes. Is could be something really harsh. So I think people need to start taking notice of certain signs. The black rings around the eyes of children that are really young, that's another sign because we don't sleep in a normal way. We're kept in the dark a lot. It's very seedy and dark where they keep children. So we have a messed up sleeping pattern. So we look like pretty much zombies. The pictures of me that they found and the ones that I looked at, because there was pictures of me that are almost identical. I'm going to go through that box and see if I can find that picture of me on a chair, and I'm obviously sedated, and it's almost identical to that picture of Summer Wells in the back of that set car.
Oh my goodness.
Almost identical. It's me sedated, looking like I'm nearly dead, but I was just sedated. And often when they sedate you, you're a child, so they give you too much. So you often take on that like zombie, like dead look. It's like that's why people were saying she was dead in the picture. I don't think so. I think she may have been close to it, but she was sedated, obviously. And those are the things that stick out with me is sedation, the look of not sleeping properly, long clothes in the middle of summer. I always take notice of stuff like that.
That's a good.
The look on children's faces when they're walking with an adult that's hurt them, they often look down and they don't make high contact with people. There's just a lot of signs that I noticed with abused children, what they do. I never, like, it took me years to be able to sort of lift my head up and walk. I still can go to the front gate of my house and go, I can't do this, and walk back inside because I was going to go down to the mall and do something, and my anxiety is so bad I have to turn around and go back inside. That happens to me all the time. I've been in shopping, like grocery stores, and filled up a trolley and had to leave it because I can't stay there. You know, I'm always looking at children. I'm always looking for everything, you know. I'm always looking. And I have followed a man home once and I called the police from outside his house. The little girl had like a black eye, and I was like, something's wrong here. I could just feel it. I don't know what happened, but I called the police. I said, I'm outside this man's house. I followed him home, and his little girl's got a black eye, and she's looking down ways. And I tried to explain to them, I'm a survivor, and I just want you to check on this little girl. I've done that before, but they don't tell you. Like, they didn't even say to me, what happened. I believe the police went in there and he was beating up the wife because a neighbor, somebody that lived next to them, told me that he was beating up the wife and baby, but I don't know for sure. But
Wow.
I followed him home from the mall because that little girl had a black eye. So,
Well, see, that's
yeah,
something else you've done. You have done
I know,
amazing
but
things with that.
it's horrible because I'm always suspicious of everybody, always.
Well, it's hard not to be, isn't it?
It's very hard not to be. I'm always looking at the way people are around their kids, especially in public. Um, I was out in public. I don't know how people didn't notice how bad I looked because when I look back at the pictures, I looked like I hadn't slept for days. Like, I don't know how people didn't see that and go, that girl, something's wrong there, you know? But no one did, no one did it. No one noticed. And back then, like, I'm over 40, so I don't know my exact age. I know I'm somewhere in the middle of 40. I don't really know because everything was changed. But my dad, that I met my dad years later, but my dad was an alcoholic to the day he died, my real dad. Um, my mum died when I was probably 6 or 7 from what my dad said. She was just bad, addicted to drugs and stuff, and she died when I was really young. There's not much info on her. I've got a few pictures. I don't like her. She's something that I don't like her. And my dad, even though he was part of that equation, he tried to be a good dad to me for the few years that we had together before he passed. He taught me to pray and how to do the Native American prayers, things that got lost as I got further into that trafficking ring. I lost my Native American culture, and I had to get it all back as I got older. And now the Native American part of me is really strong. I can speak parts of my language, and I got it all back just by the few years I had with my real dad. He was able to teach me things, and then meeting my real people in New York and all of that. That was all another story that will be for 10 hours, so I'm not going to go there. I'll just leave it because I was taken away from my culture altogether. So
Yeah.
I didn't get my culture back till I was 18 and was able to get a passport and able to go to the US. So
Well, a lot of Native American children, unfortunately and sadly, tragically, are pulled away from their families.
absolutely, I was one of hundreds and millions of children, and they're digging some of them up even today in Canada. So
Yes, I
it's
know
hard.
that's horrific.
Yeah, so I'm going through that as well, and feeling that pain as they dig up the children. And I do believe those children was very, very badly SA'd and abused as well.
Oh, we know they were abused, just
Yeah,
don't know to the extent.
I know that those residential schools there was a lot of SA going on with the priests and stuff there. I mean,
Very much so.
there is a few documentaries actually. That there was one that I watched a few years ago, and it was some of the survivors of that talking. I forget what that movie was, but it was really, really good. And it was sad, and I was crying through the whole thing, but it was a survivor story like mine, basically. So,
Can I read you
it
this
was,
comment, Yoni?
pardon?
Can I read you this comment?
Sure.
It says, you have to remember that if you unalive yourself, you can't help anyone, so you are doing different. Don't be so hard on yourself, Yanni. Much love and light. Linda.
Thank you. I am hard on myself. I
Aren't
am.
we always the hardest on ourselves, though? I mean, truly.
I can definitely admit I'm very, very hard on myself because just knowing that it's still happening is something that torments me. Um,
I think it's pretty amazing, and I think everybody here will agree with me that you were able to keep your promise to them at such a young age, at 14 years old, after you
yeah,
got out and saved those children.
yeah.
You saved those children, Yanni. You made sure to make good on your promise and you saved those babies.
Oh yeah, I that was something that I kept saying to the police in the interview. I have to save them. We have to find that house. You have to save them. Every day I would sit and try to draw pictures of different trees that I seen and weird stuff. I even wrote the street back to front because I seen it back to front, and that street name that I wrote, that took, it's, you would think that they'd figure that out, that that was back to front, but it actually took weeks before one of the police officers said, what if she's writing it back to front? They turned the street around, and sadly that street, there was hundreds and hundreds of streets with that name.
Oh my goodness.
But
Lips would like you to email her.
I did last night. I did last night email you,
Are,
Lips, but I
are,
will again. Yeah, so I did write the street back to front, and then they figured out that it was back to front, and so when the police officer figured that out, we kind of got excited, and then we went to the directory, and there was just like hundreds and hundreds of streets with that name. So then we
well,
had to go through the process of elimination. Which ones of those streets were near the water? Which ones, those were the things. And then eventually we found that house.